Welcome back to Car Mechanic Simulator 2021. As always, if you're enjoying this series or any content on the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and a like on the video does really help. Today, similar to the Nissan DLC, we're looking at the Jaguar DLC. And this is the first car we're going to look at. It's the Jaguar E-Type 1961 with an i6 engine. It's a very nice car. So similar to last time, we're going to do 4 customer orders on 4 different Jaguars. After the Jaguar E-Type, we're going to look at the Jaguar F-Type. Bit more intensive work going on there. The E-Type doesn't really need that much doing to it. The F-Type, on the other hand, got a few engine issues. So that's going to be a little bit fun and games for us to do. But we start with this one. Now, an engine that looks like that is an incredible looking engine. But we're going to skip straight to it and we're going to deal with the exhaust. As I say, this is quite a simple job. 2 exhaust pieces, 2 body part pieces, that's it, job done. So simple, 2 exhaust pieces off, the front exhaust section B and a middle muffler. So straight on the shopping list. It's a shame really, I would love to have spent more time looking at this car. They didn't have that much to do to warrant looking at it for that long, to be honest. Again, I'm looking forward to finding one and being able to build one ourselves. That's a big part of what we want to be doing. So middle muffler back on, and the front exhaust section as well. There we go. Hopefully by the time we find these vehicles in the scrapyard or in a barn or somewhere like that, hopefully we'll have a few parts for ourselves to save us some money going forward as well, because that's always a big thing. Now, that's the exhaust done. The left headlight and rear bumper need sorting out. So remember which one's left and right. So left headlight out. Bumper will take off as well. Since it's only one part to be fixed, because the headlight can't be, we may as well show it. There's no point skipping past it. It's going to take a couple of seconds. So into the fixing area. Rear bumper. I'm so glad I didn't fail it. I was expecting us to fail it, because it's the only piece we need to fix. So rear bumper back on, nice and easy. We need to buy the front headlight. We can't fix headlights. It's got a nice little boot. You can't put much in it, but it's got a nice little boot. So yeah, you can't fix headlights, so we will have to buy the headlight, which we'll do now. Left headlight, isn't it? Yes. Just double checking myself. There we go, left headlight. That can go back in place. We'll talk numbers when we finish this off. As I say, quick job. So we spent £693 fixing the Jaguar E-Type. It is going to pay us £2,088, which is a profit of £1,395. Again, quick and easy. So as we saw earlier, the next car is the Jaguar F-Type from 2017. It's got a V8 engine and it's got some issues. Mainly to do with tapping in the engine bay. Now I ummed for a little while about what do we do. Do we take the engine out? Do we try and do it from where we are? I'm still in 2 minds. I'm not sure what way round we should do this. We've also got brake issues and loud exhaust issues to deal with. I'm thinking we'll deal with the easy stuff first, then we'll have to make a decision. We're going to take it to the test track as well, test path, and this is going to show us up the brake pads, brake disc that needs sorting out. Nothing really untoward. I was kind of hoping it would show up some of the engine issues, but it didn't, unfortunately. We've obviously done an examination, we've done our testing. Nothing is really coming up for some of them, so there are some we're going to have to look for. But let's start by going underneath the car. We need to drain the oil out, we need to deal with the exhaust and everything else anyway. Just trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone while the car's up in the air. We'll start with the brakes though. So the brake discs and the brake calipers, by looking at this front right. Yeah, brake calipers no good there, and that can't be fixed, that's going to have to be replaced. Brake pads are okay. Brake disc will need repairing as well, but it's a free repair, so it's not too bad. Is there anything else nearby? You can already see the exhaust issues. Okay, and obviously ABS module is no good, so that's one of the brake issues up there. We'll deal with that once we get back to the engine bay. We'll go and fix the brake pads, brake disc, sorry. And that's done. And we can't fix the caliper, it's too low percentage, but we'll take one from the shop instead. Make sure we buy it while we're here. Just saves a little bit of time while we're waiting for the brake disc to be sorted. It just makes sense. I brought brake pads not for this corner of the car. I did spot on the list of jobs brake pads were needed, so I thought I'd just buy them while I'm in the shop. I don't actually need the ones for this front right. I don't think we do. But brake disc back on, now back to 100%. Brake pads, we're going to use the 100% ones. Although I didn't think I needed them. I may be wrong, I don't know. At this point, I've kind of confused myself. We'll put them on, let's see what happens. Now, let's have a look. No, the brake pads didn't change, so they weren't the right ones. I didn't pay too much attention to the percentage needed, 64%. I didn't pay that much attention. But it does mean I can probably put the ones we took off the front right onto this one. In theory. So this is rear right. And the brake pads there have gone. I may be able to put the same ones on this one, as long as they're over that percentage. Or we may just have to buy them. I don't know. I've got the thing is, all the brake caliper now stuck on there. So now until I get rid of that, nothing else will show up in the shop. There we go. Brake pads. We're going to replace these ones as well. I think the ones we took off are maybe too low. It wasn't the right ones, but I think they're too low according to the percentage needed. And that's going to cause us an issue. So, although we didn't need to replace the front right, they're on that limit of needing replacing anyway, just not on the list of things to do. Okay, now I've got myself out of my confusion. We'll carry on looking at the brakes on the rest of the car. The rear left now, brake disc is no good, as you can see. That needs sorting out. Rather obvious one this time at least. So we've got to take the brake caliper off. The brake pads are absolutely fine. We won't be replacing them ones. And that is that done. We'll go and stick the brake disc on the lathe and get that done. It's nearly done. It's so nice to have something you can fix for free. It doesn't cost you anything, and it's nice and easy. Just looking to see what other cars are waiting for us. Right, there we go. At this point, I'm still looking out for the last two Jaguar cars. We haven't quite found them yet, but I started on the first two I came across. But we'll have them all, even if it takes a little bit of time between. You won't see that, so it's all good. So brake caliper back on, wheel back on. And now we are missing one brake issue, which is in the engine bay. Loud exhaust. Okay, we already spotted some issues with the exhaust, didn't we? So the first two parts we can see there. Middle muffler needs to come off. Catalytic converter as well. Where's the other? Can I see up there? The exhaust manifold on the engine itself. So that's something else we need to deal with. We can buy these first two, and then everything under the car is done. I'm also on brakes, that's why I won't show up. There we go. Catalytic converter. Middle muffler. So we can put these two back on. So we will need to get to the engine bay to take that off and replace it. But we know where they all are then. It's still the engine bay stuff we've got to think about here. So while we're here, let's take off the drive shaft. Let's take off the gearbox. We know we've got to get this engine out. This was the bit I wasn't looking forward to. I was kind of hoping I could get round this, but I don't think we can. Slightly different transfer case. I haven't really had to deal with transfer cases before. That was slightly different to the normal for us. That is off. Gearbox will now come off next. We starter off first. Starter needs replacing. I don't know if we knew about that or not. That definitely needs fixing or replacing. Gearbox can come off. And then we can take off the exhaust manifolds, and then we should be able to take the engine out, I believe. May need to drain liquids while I think about it. That's a very good shout. I've just had a thought as we went into the engine bay. We haven't drained the oil. I'm still refusing to obtain the trophy for spilling oil on the floor. It's going to be the last trophy we achieve on the game. It will be the platinum trophy. I'm making sure of it by not making that mistake. So just remembered just in time then. I nearly took something off I shouldn't have done. But managed to remember just in time. So there we go. So engine bay, and if we can look at, well, we can deal with the ABS module first. To be fair, we can't fix it, it's too low percentage. As you can see, it is red, so we do need a new one. We don't even need to add it to shopping list, to be fair, because as soon as you go on to the electricals, it is one of the first things there. So there we go, that's done. That should be all the brake issues now done. Now engine, I'm trying to think, what do we need to take off? So the exhaust manifold will take off here, and we need to do the other one anyway because it needs to be replaced, it's no good. As we saw, there we go. You can see some of the issues with the engine itself on the front anyway. This is why we're taking the engine out, it's just because of these parts on the front we can see aren't brilliant. Let's go and get the engine crane, and then we can take this engine out. I feel like I've forgotten something. Fluids. Just been saying about the oil, when we managed to remember, I nearly forgot to drain the coolant. And obviously we take an engine out, it's going to have a water pump in it. I so came very close to another fine. It does happen, more often than I like to admit, to be fair. So easy to forget these little things. So engine is out. Let's go and strip it down over here. We are going to speed up the strip down process, mainly because just trying to keep the video as small as possible, lengthy wise. Back in a second. So that is the engine stripped down. I believe that is everything we needed to get out. So we're going to fix it all and we'll come back, put the engine back together, and again we're going to speed up putting it back together. As I say, I'm just trying to keep the length of the videos down, and this is the ideal thing to speed up. And that is it. Engine is all done, all back together. I believe it's all 100% now, or as close as we need it to be, in fact. I shouldn't say 100% because it won't be 100% because we didn't replace everything. We just fixed what was needed. But engine can go back in, and then we can always have a look at the list and see where we're at. Engine crane can go away. Perfect. We know we need to put the gearbox back on. So we still need to replace the starter, but that is it. So other than putting everything back on underneath, we are done. So, starter motor will go on as a matter of course with the gearbox. As long as I don't forget as I normally do, it should be fine. So, gearbox back on. Didn't need to do anything with that other than take it off. Starter motor, we just need to get an angle, there we go. We did manage to fix it, so it's back to 100%. And we've got a transfer case, something we've not really dealt with much before. So that was something a little bit new. And obviously we've got the front drive shaft that goes towards that. And then the drive shaft itself. And then I believe that's it. I'm now questioning myself, I'm just double checking. Other than oil and liquids, I think we're good. And this will be the second Jaguar done if this is the case. So we'll put the coolant back in first. So definitely a lot more labour intensive this car compared to the E-Type that we did first. It was potluck to what we got. I was just looking for the first time that particular car arrived on the job sheet. I wasn't worrying too much about what they entailed. I was just trying to get one of each type, which itself took a long time. So I just took whatever it gave us, really, to be fair. And we just got a little bit unlucky with the E-Type, so there wasn't much to do. Whereas this one's a bit more labour intensive. But oil going in, a bit overspill there, but it's done. And that is the car finished. So we'll talk numbers. We spent £1,676 fixing the car. We got paid £4,284. And we made a profit of £2,608. Next, we have finally found the last two Jaguars needed for this episode. Firstly, we're going to look at the 1991 Jaguar XJS. All it needs is tuning. That's it. No fixing, just tuning, which is fine. We just need to make sure we play the game properly and make sure we do things that we can fix and use ourselves later on. That's kind of my thinking. 15 to 20% needed. It's a decent number. You can get quite low ones, like 7 to 12% and stuff like that. They're a bit more fiddly, but you can go small. So, my plan is we're going to do the air filter on both sides. I think both throttles, both exhaust manifolds. I think that's kind of the plan at this point. It makes sense in my eyes. That may be enough. I'm not 100% sure. The air filter covers for this are different to normal. They have clips and they are annoying, and it took me a while to find them. It's 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. Is it 2 or 1? No, it was 2. 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. They're tiny. They're really annoying to try and get hold of. But there we are. Clip is off. We can take the air filter off. Yeah, frustrating to find. A little bit different to the norm. But we found them. So air filter coming off. We're going to replace the throttle as well with a tuned throttle. Which I think is a good plan. And the intake manifold, I did say exhaust manifold before. I'm thinking intake manifold, may even change the fuel rail as well, while you think about it. But intake manifold can come off and we can get a tuned one and put it on. So the new one going on now. It will be, I promise. Yeah, new one going on. There we go. I'm not looking forward to finding this car just because of the fiddly air filters. The air filter wasn't as fiddly, it wouldn't be too bad. New tuned throttle going on as well. And then it is just the air filter to put back together. Sorry. You got a little screen flash there. I forgot to actually buy the air filter to go in it. I was trying to just edit a little bit better. Now I have something to admit. It's not something bad, but it is. I've kind of lost a little bit of profit on this, mainly because I have brought the wrong manifold to go on the other side of the engine. I bought two of the ones we've just put on, and obviously you don't need the same on the other side because it's a different angle, direction, whatever you want to call it. So I've wasted a little bit of money on that. It will go in our warehouse. Hopefully we'll get to use it at some point. A little bit annoying, but it was my own fault for trying to be too smart and too quick, I suppose. Right, clips again for the air filter on the left hand side of the engine. There we go. Air filter can now come off. Filter from inside can come out. So I keep the angles clean. There we go. Throttle can come off. And as I say, all these parts that we take off, apart from the filters themselves, we should be able to reuse. Intake manifold off as well. And as I say, we've wasted a little bit of money because we bought the wrong one, and hopefully we'll be able to use it in the future at some point. So it'll sit in our warehouse gathering dust until we're ready for it, I suppose. And that is coming off nicely. Okay, time to put the new one on. Finally found the one we needed, and there we go. Nice and shiny. This engine looks incredible, even with the little bits of tuning we've done. It just brings the engine to life so much. And I'm not one for colouring engine parts. I know people do, they enjoy it. It doesn't do anything for me. But I do like the look of the shininess of the engine now we've got tuned parts on there. And this is where performance builds will come into play. They're going to look incredible by the end of it. That's the plan anyway. But we're a long way off any performance builds so far. But we will get to them, I'm sure. So the clip's going back on the air filter. That is that done. Now, I'm thinking fuel rail. If we're taking it off, let's put the tuned one on, and I think that's enough. Let us take it to the dyno to double check. And the dyno is showing 17.5. We needed 15 to 20. 17.5 is down the middle, spot on. Last car of the episode. We are working on the 1992. No, we're not. I'm thinking the wrong thing. Sorry, I was skipping ahead. So the vehicle we've just done with the tuning is the Jaguar XJS. We spent £3,786. We were paid £5,824. Made a profit of £2,038. I was skipping ahead. I apologise for that. So, the final car, and the sportiest one of the lot, is this amazing 1992 Jaguar XJ220. Look at that. It is a lovely specimen of a car. It's got a V6 TWR engine, which is nice. There's issues though. And these issues are going to drive me to insanity. This is what the engine looks like in close up. We can see some of the engine issues already. But I do like the Jaguar named parts on the top of the engine. They're really nice. I'm going to let you into a little secret. It's a little bit of a spoiler. But this is going to cause me some major issues. I basically have edited out around 2 hours of footage. You'll find out why later, but I've had to take away 8 hours, sorry, 2 hours, not 8, 2 hours of footage of me searching for something, which will be explained in a bit. To say this car was frustrating is a massive understatement, and we've had this before with cars. When this doesn't always show you the parts, you can do every test under the sun, and it still won't show up everything that you need to do. This car was one of those. And you can look and look and look, and just sometimes you just can't figure it out. It takes a little bit of luck, a little bit of taking every single part off until you find it, and then you eventually do. So we're going to start with the engine. We do need to take the engine out. So we do need to take off the gearbox, and because it's a rear-wheel drive car, we need to take the wheels off to get the gearbox off. The engine is also in the back, and this is one thing I really enjoyed and do enjoy about Car Mechanic Simulator 2021 is no matter where the engine is in the car, the crane goes on the correct side. I was worried before about the engine being put at the front when the engine's in the back, just because I weren't sure how it would work out where it was meant to be. And actually, it does it perfectly. I'm really impressed with that. It's just that extra level of detail that can be missing in other games, and I think the simulation does it perfectly. So we've taken the gearbox off. We can already see there's issues. So the clutch release has gone. Clutch plate can come off, so it doesn't need to. Flywheel, there we go. Right, what else do we need off to get the engine out? That's what we've got to think about now. Anything can be done underneath. Exhaust front section, possibly. Although we could just take the turbos off. No, we'll take the front exhaust sections off, both sides. And I believe that's the engine able to come out. I think. We'll find out shortly. So we'll go and get the engine crane, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. It will go to the correct side. Which it's little things that I really enjoy and make me smile, and that is one of them. Okay, so the engine is out. Let's go and have a look at it. Now, I'm not entirely sure exactly how much we need to take off. We know there's some issues with the engine, knocking noises, it's saying. So let's have a look. Belt tensioner, that's an obvious one. The idle roller B is another obvious one. There we go, that's off. And that's most of the obvious things. Is there anything else? Let's have a look. Oil filter. That's an obvious one. That's 3. And I thought I'd got them all, but I went and checked. And I found I hadn't. So what I'd missed, according to the list of jobs, and this is the part we found, is the actual camshaft. Now, again, I hadn't spotted it until I'd gone to the car and just double checked the list of jobs. Camshaft was there as one we needed to do. To get to it, it's a bit fiddly, and you'll see how bad it is in a second, I'm sure. I'm just making sure we're trying to get into the right area here. There we go. Can you see the part that's the issue? I don't know how I didn't notice it, but I think because of the wires and stuff in the way, some things are easily missed. But that is the part I had actually missed. But luckily, I just went to the car and thought, is it only 3 bits coming off? That seems a bit weird. Why would I have taken the engine out for 3 parts? It's a little bit more labour intensive than just the 3. But we've done it. So, camshaft coming off now. Although it can't do. We've got to take all the wheels and the belts off on the timing section, which isn't that much, to be fair. We need to take off the idle roller. Then the serpentine belt can come off. Then we can take off the cam gear, and then the camshaft can come out. Wasn't as bad as it could have been, to be honest. Now I'm just double checking there's nothing else I've missed. It's so easy to miss something. We have done all our testing and stuff beforehand, just to make sure we didn't miss anything, but I can't see anything else at this point. So I think we're all good. So easy though to miss something, isn't it? And this is part of my issue later on. I feel like there was meant to be something on our list about this. Let's have a quick look inside. Yes. Okay, so inside that was an actual part we needed to replace. We are going to speed through the rebuild just to try and bring the length of the video down a little bit. We'll see in a minute. So engine is built, engine is back in the car, and we are now, in theory, finishing off. I say in theory for a reason. So we're going to put the gearbox back on first. What we kind of missed a little bit was the ignition rotor inside the ignition distributor was gone as well. That was on the list from the car, and I vaguely had it in the back of my head it needed doing, and I luckily spotted it and just did it rather than faffing around. But yeah, we only just saw that, to be fair. Okay, so wheels going back on the rear now. I'm now cautious about putting wheels on because I feel like I've missed something. Let's have a look at the list. So, part not discovered, knocking noises from the engine bay. That's the one that's going to cause me issues. Sway bar front end link, okay, and a suspension issue. So, I did some tests on the test path and it came back as a double wishbone shock absorber needed replacing. So this is on the front. and we have replaced it, and it also has the sway bar front end link was also on the list. Now, this is what took me 2 hours to find this one part missing, and this was a knocking noise from the engine. This was frustration. And it is a crankshaft bearing cap. Of all the things, we had the engine off, we had no need to go near the pistons or the crankshaft, and it took me a long time to find this. But we finally did. This drove me to distraction. It's one of those simple things that is so easily missed, especially if you've got no reason to look inside there. But I was running out of places to look. It was one of the things we hadn't opened. So we finally managed to get the car finished. It took a long time, a lot longer than it should have done. But it is. So, car is finished. Let's talk numbers. We spent, and this is how little we spent on this, £623. That's it. We were paid £1,443, made a profit of £820. The time it took means that profit is worthless. 2 hours of looking on top of everything else. It was incredible. But these things happen. It's not the first time. It probably won't be the last. But I hope you enjoyed this DLC look at the Jaguar cars. We'll do more when the new DLCs are out and about, and when I manage to find all the cars in one go. And thank you very much for watching.